Welcome to the new season, Volume 2 of Crown Level Confidence Podcast. I'm Kalia Janae, your dedicated host. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, certified life coach, and motivational speaker. I've got a background in humanities, communication, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. This podcast is your go-to source for empowerment and to inspire your journey toward unshakable confidence and fortified self-belief. In this volume, I'm bringing you fresh conversations and uplifting stories from incredible individuals who have overcome many obstacles in their lives and still achieved greatness. Get ready to elevate your mindset, embrace your power, and shine like the star you are. Let's embark on this journey together and straighten up your crown. Let's jump right in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this newest episode of Crown Level Confidence. I am your host, Kalia Janae, and I am so excited to bring to you a very special, a phenomenal woman, none other than Danielle Duncan. Danielle, say hey.
Hey.
Yo, Danielle, she is, like I said, a phenomenal woman for many more reasons that I have the time to explain. But let me introduce you to her formally so you can get just as excited, if not more, than I am. So, Danielle Duncan from St. Louis, Missouri is an inspiring figure dedicated to creativity and empowerment. Her journey began at 10 with short stories and plays inspired by her brother's drawings, and evolved into a passion for poetry at 13, influenced by poetic justice and poets like Dr. Maya Angelou. In high school, she pursued journalism and entertainment reporting inspired by Barbara Walters and Jackie Reed. By 21, she won 3 awards for poetry and songwriting. Danielle's college years saw her captivating audiences with spoken word, leading her to a one-woman show, introducing Danny Sky, and founding of her own production company. Wow. Transitioning to motivational speaking and life coaching, she established Root and Revive life coaching services. In 2022, she released a spoken word EP, Like I've Never Felt, and authored Dear Blackgirl, This Is Why You Are So Dope. Danielle continues to inspire with upcoming projects, including a podcast, hey, we like those, and a YouTube channel. Y'all, doesn't she just sound so phenomenal? Like I said, Danielle, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Okay. So, you know what? I'd have to be as authentic as I can be. You guys, you all know that this is an unscripted show. We don't do a whole lot of editing and production. We keep things as real and raw as possible. Well, we got challenged, y'all. Derek decided he was going to take over Danielle's original recording, and so we had to do a reshoot. The first in Crown Level Confidence history, our first reshoot, but Danielle was gracious enough to open up her schedule one more time so we could do it and have it done well. So I wanted to say that because as a leader, you have a vision for something and you're so gung-ho about how things is going to be. God has called you and you're like, we're going to do this thing. And then sometimes you have to humble yourself and be honest and pivot or go back and redo something instead of just sticking to the plan or digging your heels in. You have to kind of know when, like I said, to humble yourself and course correct. And so this is that for us. And so I am completely grateful, like I said, for Danielle to revisit our episode. And out of respect for our listeners, y'all have been so dedicated. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up and you guys have just been so awesome as a community. You deserve a well-produced episode. And as much as we love little baby Derek, he did not belong in the conversation that day. So that's my disclaimer. And, you know, we're here to help women level up. We've got a listenership worldwide. Y'all know this, worldwide. And like I said, I can only be me, right? And I prefer to be transparent. And I'm here to help y'all build your confidence. And so for those of you who may be wondering, well, what does that have to do, with this episode? She's just airing out her dirty laundry. No, I'm just letting you know that life happens and you can continue to walk in excellence versus being challenged with perfectionism, right? So that's just a little something for someone who's listening right now. But Danielle, back to you. You're a featured guest. And like I said, so honored and so privileged to have you here with us. Wow, you have just been blessed with this creativity and you're using it, since you were a young girl. what is that like to break out at such an early age to say, I'm going to take what's in my brain and just like put that out there?
It's like now when I think back to it, I was like, it's not that many kids that would like have like a big imagination like that where they're like, I'm gonna do XYZ and like they actually do it. So I don't think I was a normal kid, but not normal in a good way. Like people always said I was weird and quirky, and it used to bother me. But then as I got older, I learned to embrace my quirkiness, and I don't see it as a bad thing. And I'm just like, once I learned to like flip it and kind of clap back a little bit, because some people are like, you're weird, you're a nerd, you're this and that, and then all the people that said that, now they're not doing anything. So it's like,
yeah, those people are real good.
Like this nerd, this weird person, she is a 14-time self-published author, and I'm like, she's a speaker, and she did 30 years of spoken word and dropped like 3 EPs. So I was like, yeah, pretty good for a nerd.
Yeah. Right. Yes. And, I'm kudos to you because, it's something you can, bring up in a quick little life synopsis.
Yeah.
But those words, from our childhood and the way people try to define us, they do, they stick with you after a while. And, I'm glad that you're able to kind of brush it off now. But people need to hear that and to be reminded. Like, unfortunately, we're not going to eradicate, bullying and teasing and all that stuff. It's there. Here we are. And but what we can do is empower others to realize how they can live with it and use that, as fuel, if you will, to succeed. And I think there's nothing wrong. Some people say, "Oh, forgive and forget." Yeah, I forgave and I forgot the anger or what I wanted to do about it. But I'm going to remember. Me personally, I'm going to remember because I'm grateful, right? Like I'm grateful I didn't stay in that put down place where someone used something about me that's God-given and great and tried to turn that into a negative personality trait or you don't fit in. Well, great, because I don't want to. Thank you.
Exactly. And that was the thing. That's what it was with me, like growing up. I think like when it got to like junior high all the way through college, it was me feeling like I had to fit in all the time. Like I always felt like being me wasn't okay, that I had to like follow the trends. And I found myself when I try to follow the trends, like the fashion, the hairstyles, it didn't feel authentic to me. I just felt like I was putting on a costume and I was just doing it because I didn't want people bullying me and saying things. So I'm just, okay, I'm just going to do what everybody else is doing so people leave me alone. But it was like, it didn't feel like me. I was like, I feel so uncomfortable with this outfit on or this hairstyle. I don't like that. Like, I've always been the type of person that like wearing big hair, my hair big and curly, having an afro. My mom, she hated when I wore my hair like this. She's like, why are you straighten it out? And I was like, I don't want to wear, I could do straight hair for like a week. And then after that, it has to be curly, wavy. Yeah. I'm like, straight hair is so boring. I'm all like, I like it to be wild and free. And then with my clothes, I'm like, I'm more of, it depends on the day. My style is different. Sometimes I may be like boho chic, kind of like hippie. Other days I may be like the preppy white girl with the blazer and the jeans on. Other days I may do a rock star and probably put my Linkin Park Incubus t-shirt on with a leather jacket and my favorite pair of ripped jeans. So it just varies.
Right.
Like, I don't have a set style. And people try to put me in a box like, well, why don't you do this style? And I was like, no, I try to do just one style, but I can't because I'm like, my mood, it changes. And I was like, sometimes I feel like a rock star, I put on rock star. Sometimes I feel like, Freddie from a different world, I may dress like that, so
yeah, it's Cree Summers.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, especially as women, we've got so many influences, the ones that we actually want, and then the ones that we don't even want to have, just always kind of trying to control and define us. You should be doing this and putting us in these different boxes. And that's one of the best things I love about this show is just embracing. There's so many different levels and so many different categories to us. Like, it's just calm down. I love that, Yeah. Our community, they know when it comes to me, when it comes to Kalia, you could see me twice in the same day and I'll have different hair, different outfit, different.
Yeah.
If I could switch it might got switched that day. And they're like, well, I just saw you. Mm-hmm. Sure. You did. Yeah. And leaning into that.
That's me. Everybody's like, every time I see you got a different hairstyle, I was like, well, yeah, because I get bored easily. So I like to change it up. Yeah.
And so, okay. So I think that taking care of yourself is a way, right, to maintain your confidence, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, please, feel free. I'm not Barbara Walters, by the way. Feel free to jump in here. But if the way I'm seeing, this going and describing how you like to switch things up, you take care of yourself, and that allows you to have maximum creativity, right? Because if you're kind of empty and you're constantly soul searching, then how do you know what to pour out into others? Can you kind of let's talk about your process, right? Because you've got so many different things you're going on, so many different ways that you serve the community with all of your different strengths and talents. You got to keep yourself maintained, and that doesn't always equate to just the outward appearance, right?
Right. Yeah. And it was like, it took me, I felt like looking back, I always knew who I was. I just was always around people who made me feel uncomfortable in my own skin. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of like tricked into thinking after a while, oh, I don't know who I am. I'm lost. And I was like, no, I was never lost. I never knew who I was. I'm like, it was the people that I had around me who were lost, who didn't know who they were. And I think that I was so secure and confident within myself, it made them feel uncomfortable. So when you're comfortable with who you are and you're around people who don't know who they are, they're not comfortable, they would project those feelings onto you and make it seem like, oh, it's you. You're lost. You're confused. You don't know who you are. And then you get like gaslit and you're thinking, oh, maybe I really don't know who I am. And then you start going down this rabbit hole that's not meant for you to go down. And once you pull yourself out of that and, detox from those people, you realize, oh, you know what? I was never lost. I always knew who I was. And it took years to get there. But once I finally got to a point where I was like, I was always comfortable in my own skin. I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted, what I liked, what I didn't like. It was just the people that I had around me that made me feel like something was wrong with me. Like, oh, you're weird. You're this and that. And now I'm like, okay, weird how? Because I'm not smoking weed at 12 years old. I'm like, what 12-year-old is smoking weed anyway? It's like, how do you get access to that? Right. Why are you smoking cigarettes? Like, why are you having premarital sex at that age? I'm like, you're still supposed to be playing with Legos. Like, you try to grow up too fast. It's like, I was the kid that enjoyed being a kid. Like, while everybody else wanted to be grown, I'm like, yeah, you want to be grown, and then you want to hurry up and pay bills? Because if I go back, I was a teenager where I didn't have bills.
Right? My little part-time job and my little phone.
Right. I was in no rush to like be an adult. I was a kid and I wanted to be a kid. So later on, like as an adult, like I had to take time out to like the 3 years that I was in complete solitude, I did a lot of reflecting on like my past all the way up to now. And I finally decided that, you know what? Yeah, I'm not like a lot of people, but then that's okay. Because why would you want to be like everybody else? That is so boring. It's like being you, being different, being unique. There's nothing wrong with that. So once I learned to embrace it within myself, it was a lot easier for me to speak to other people and say, hey, embrace your quirkiness, your weirdness. And I wouldn't even look at it as weird. I would just say you're just unique. You're colorful. Like I'll use different words because I feel like weird is like, it's such a negative word because when you think weird, you think, oh my gosh, that person is crazy. Look at them. And I was like, and the people that want to say somebody's weird, I look at them, I'm like, you have the audacity to call somebody weird. And it's like, did you look in the mirror today? Because it's like, you don't look like you don't look pretty normal yourself. I was like, that outfit that you got on or how you got your hair, you got the audacity to talk about someone else's hair and outfit. It's like, did you look in the mirror today? Because did someone tell you don't put that on or don't wear your hair like that? I don't know what made you think that you were hot, but you're not, you know. You don't have the audacity to tell anyone they're not hot, and it's like, look at you. So I had to build that confidence within myself to embrace being different. And when I did that, like when I first got into speaking, I was talking to another podcaster about this last 2 weeks ago, and I said when I first got into speaking, I thought everybody had to be like corporate, dressed like all buttoned up with suits and everything. And when I got into their world, I saw people who were like tatted up, had like neck tattoos and sleeve tattoos and different colored hair. And they like got on stage and they were like rock stars. Some people were like boho type. And it was the opposite of what I normally see speakers on TV. And then when I saw people who look exactly like me, and then the way that they talk, like you had like Tony Robbins. I saw a special that he did. He dropped so many F-bombs in that special. I was
Whoa.
I was like, wow. And it's like, and he's like, he'll start off, cussing and be like, you know what, you need to do this and get your A up and da-da-da-da-da. But then at the end, he's boo-hooing and crying with everybody else like, this is why I do this. I want each and every one of you to succeed. That's why I do this. And I came from this. And I was like, now how you go from cussing everybody out to like being this gentle giant, breaking down, crying at the end? I was just like, wow. But he has a multi-billion-dollar industry and it works. And I'm just like, if he can be himself and people come to him every year and he pack out stadiums and stuff just by being his true authentic self, I was like, you know what? I need to be my true authentic self. Because I'm like, that just is a good example showing me I don't have to dress a certain way. I don't have to be all prim and proper and use correct English and stuff. I was like, no. I was like, I can talk to people like they're people. And when I find my audience, I talk to them just like, like it's just girlfriends having brunch. So I started thinking about all that. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to talk like a speaker or present myself like a speaker. Now I'm present myself like Danielle, because I was like, at the end of the day, my goal is to connect with people. And that's how it's always been. Even when I was doing spoken word and doing shows, I was always connecting with people. When I had, at the end, I'll close with a motivational speech, and it just came natural. And I was like, I need to go back to doing that. I need to go back to not trying to always sound right, but just say like what's in my heart, what God put in my spirit, like just say it however it comes out. Because when I say what's on my heart and it's genuine, then it's like people gravitate towards that versus you're like, oh, I gotta write out a speech and I gotta sound robotic, and people aren't really feeling it because they're like, okay, well, you're just saying this from a script, like you didn't really go through this. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put my own personal experiences in there. And a lot of speeches that I've written, I talked about things that I couldn't even talk about 5-6 years ago, because back then I wasn't in a place to talk about those things. But now, like being healed from it, I'm all like, okay, I think I'm ready to talk about that right now. And it's like when I do, it's like not only am I healing myself when I open up about certain things, I'm healing other people, and I'm learning more to embrace, Danny. That I'm just like, I don't have to be like everybody else. And it's like, and if you want to say I'm weird, okay, you can go kick rocks, whatever. And I was like, I'm like this weird little girl from St. Louis. I'm like, she has made a positive impact on the world. She's going to continue to do that. She's going to continue to inspire people. As long as I have people coming up to me saying, you inspired me, you motivated me, people who I made laugh, who I made cry, or when I did my Dear Blackgirl book, and people who read it and it was like, I enjoyed, the poetry part, or I enjoyed the prayers, the affirmations. It's like when that book came out and people read it, they were telling me everything they liked about it. And even the people who haven't read it, when I tell them about it, they get excited. Like I had men that I talked to, they were like, I should get that book for my daughter. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it is age appropriate. I'm like, it's the first book that I feel like is for all ages. And I was like, yeah. So when fathers are saying they want to get their book for their daughter, that makes me feel good, because that's the goal, is to inspire, Black women like from 2 to 92, to inspire them, empower them. And in the book, I put different parts of me, which is prayers, because I'm a praying woman. I pray every day. I just got into affirmations 2 years ago, so doing that. Poetry. I think even though I'm not doing poetry anymore, that's something that's always going to be a part of me. Like I just can't. I did it for 30 years, and I can't just say, okay, I retired from poetry. I'm not doing poetry anymore. And I was like, nah, it's still there. And I'm all like, and I need to honor it. And every so often, I told myself, I may drop an EP here and there, or I may perform at an open mic and do some new stuff. And I was like, I can't just erase that part of my past, because I was trying to erase that part, because when I was in the art, I had like dark moments where I kind of wanted to forget that I was ever a spoken word artist, because there were like things that happened that made me not want to revisit it. But then I was like, no, if it wasn't for poetry, I wouldn't be where I am at today. It started there, and then that brought me into speaking and coaching, and it brought me back to writing non-poetry books. So it's like poetry, like it helped with where I'm at. So it's like for me to completely abandon it because of some bad things. And even now, looking at the bad stuff that happened, the times that I've been hurt and betrayed, I look at it as, okay, well, instead of me dwelling on this person did this and did that, what is the lesson that I got out of it? And then when I find a lesson, I'm like, okay, where's the blessing? There's got to be a blessing, even if it's like a little tiny blessing. I'm all like, okay, I thought that person was my friend, but guess what? They taught me the next person that I meet what not to accept in a friendship, that I need to be valued more. Or when I see someone is not genuinely Team Danny, I don't need to keep continuing being friends with that person. I need to accept it for what it is and be like, okay, it is what it is. And me and this person, we're not aligned. And I don't need to keep trying to like force this friendship to happen. I'm all like, this person's just not meant to be in my life, and I'm going to cut them off. And then sometimes when you cut people off, you don't even have to have a conversation. I used to think you had to have conversations.
And break up.
Like the breakup conversation. I don't think we should be friends, and this is why. And it's like, no, because they're not going to admit what they did, and it's going to turn into a big old mess, and then you're going to be going back and forth. So some people, especially if you know you can't have adult conversations with people, sometimes just you have to politely ghost people sometimes and like block them and cut them off. They get the deal. They, get the message like, this person's not talking to me anymore. I say, yeah. I said, because if I try to have a conversation, I already know how it's going to turn out because I know how you are. So it's just like, for me to keep my peace, I'm just not going to say anything. And especially if the other person starts drifting away, that kind of makes it easier for you to break up the friendship. It's like, well, you were already drifting away from me anyway, so there's no conversation that need to be had. Like, this is where I'm at in my life, this is where you're at, and you're not watering me. I'm watering you, but you're not watering me, so I'm not getting what I need. So I think, I need to bounce on this one. And we'll just go from there. And I was like, and the right people that are meant to be in my life that's aligned with where I'm at, they'll be there. So learning how to let go of relationships that's not feeding. Right. I had to learn that during this season, because sometimes we hold on to relationships and we know we don't need to be in that relationship, whether it's romantic or friendship or partnership. Absolutely. Or business. Yeah. We already know off the bat after a while, like, this person is not helping me at all. And why am I holding on to this person? And with friendships, it's usually, you know each other since second grade, and y'all live across the street from each other, and y'all moms are best friends and stuff. And then you hold on to stuff like that, but then you just like, well, we in our 40s, and it's just like, we're not 2 years old no more. And it's like, and that person is like, they not happy for me. Anytime I bring up something I'm doing, they get quiet, or they just like, psh, or they'll say, oh, your little book, or your little. Yeah. I'm like, why everything y'all be little? Like, so then you just like our little backhanded comments, and just like, yeah. I was like, you telling me how you feel without really telling me how you feel. So, you have to, see things and realize if you're feeling more hurt and offended than you are nurtured and supported, that's when you just need to start cutting things off. And I had to learn that in order for me to grow and get what I want out of life and what God has for me, I had to cut those dead leaves off, because I had a lot of dead leaves in my life, and I always felt like I was being held back. It felt like somebody had my hands tied behind my back, and I'm trying to move, but I can't. And I was like, why do I feel stagnant? Like, I'm not going nowhere. And it was the people I had around me. That's why I felt held back. And once I let those people go, or they walked away, I felt like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. And then things start coming to me, like things that I prayed for and manifested, they start happening. But when you got those dead leaves in your life and you want God to do things in your life, He's like, I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm like, you got all these dead leaves right here. You got all how you expect me to give you gold, and you sitting in this trash.
Wow.
We bought that trash off. Until you do that, I'm not giving you this gold. I'm not giving you nothing, because I'm all like, I can't bless you and you sitting in mess. You can't do that. So like, that's how you gotta look at it. Like, when people want things to happen, they're like, why things are not happening? It's like, it's your environment. Who are you surrounding yourself around? Because whoever you surround yourself around, if they're not of God and they're not in His will, they're not, speaking about Him, speaking His truth, living through, walking in His steps, you're never going to get blessed. You're always going to feel stuck. And it took me years to learn that. But once I realized it was the environment and who I entertained, that's why I always felt stuck. So once that light bulb came on, sometimes the light bulb come on sooner, other times it come on a little late. With me, that light bulb, I was in the dark trying to find a light switch. I'm like, where the light switch is? Oh, I found it. Oh, okay, I found it. So it took me a minute, but I'm just like, once I learned that, and that it's okay to let go, it's okay to walk away from things and people that are not serving you, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you want better for yourself. You shouldn't have to apologize for wanting more out of life. Because some people, they will make you feel like, oh, she being arrogant because she bragging about her book. Don't nobody care about her book. Don't nobody care about her speaking engagement. She always saying something about that. I was like, okay, well, if you're tired of hearing about it, there's the door. Because every time you're around me, that's all I'm going to talk about. I'm always going to talk about Dear Black Girl. I'm going to talk about my EP. I'm going to talk about empowering women. Anything that is positive, happy, good going in my life, that's what you're going to hear about. So if you got a problem with it, you can leave. I'm not going to diminish my shine just to make you feel good about your crappy life. And I'm all like, if you're not happy with where you at, you do something about it. I'm not responsible for that. It's not my fault. You were miserable before you met me. You were miserable after me. So it's like you're gonna be miserable either way because you're a miserable person. And I was just like, and you mad because I'm happy. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna be miserable. Right. So
yes. You listen, Danielle, you got like 3 different episodes in this episode right now. Okay.
I always have great content. Everyone tells me that. It was like, wow, you give me so much to talk about. I was like, I don't even realize I just start talking.
But
ideas flow.
Yes, no, it's so true. I mean, listen, you're making my job easier. But no, everything that you've said, from touching on self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and, just putting on those blinders and just blocking out, the haters. And, the popular saying is misery loves company, where you just have to be alone if I'm around, because I'm not doing that. And you should not have to dim your shine in order to, appease others and make them feel more comfortable. The way I see it is, iron sharpens iron. So if you get cut, then we're not supposed to rub it up against each other, and so listen, I'm still soaking up what you've said, and I'm sure the listeners are too, because it's just like, yes, these are real truths that need to be said that are not said often. A lot of times women are encouraged to shrink to fit, or, to accommodate, to make everyone else feel good and comfortable. And while we can be nurturing, yes, it doesn't stop there. People need to feel the reality, the weight of, use your word, their mediocrity. As a person of excellence, if I step into the space, I'm going to shift the atmosphere in the room. And if you feel like, oh, that's too much for you, then we don't belong in the same room, right? And I'm here now, so you can leave.
Right, exactly. Because I'm all like, the party ain't gonna stop because I get here,
Right.
The party gonna begin.
Right. I love it. So, okay, I feel like, I got people over there in the Midwest. I feel like we could be secretly related at this point, and I could talk to you forever, right? So, but Danielle, we're at the point of the episode where it's time for the final word. It always comes up so fast, and this was no disappointment. So, listen, what is that last thing that you want to leave with the listeners? What is it? Maybe something you already said, or something new you haven't dropped yet. What do you want to leave us with for the final word?
I would say, life is like literally short, because you could be here today and gone tomorrow. So it's like, live every day like it's your last. If there's something that you always want to do, no matter how big or small it is, if it's going back to school or getting a certification or something, or taking a trip somewhere, don't put stuff off and say, oh, I'll do it next year. It's like, no, when you can, do it as soon as possible, because, and then never doubt yourself. Like, sometimes it was things that I wanted to do, and I talked myself out of a lot of blessings. Like, I could have did that, but it's like, then I'm thinking of, no, I can't do it, and this is why I can't do it, and now I'm just like, well, you know what? Why can I not do it? I'm like, if they're doing it, I can do it. If it's possible for them, it's possible for me. So I learned to talk myself into things that may be beneficial for me. And it's like, you never know when something is for you if you're constantly talking yourself out of it, saying, I can't. Why can't you? Like, try. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. It's like, at least you tried. And it's like, if it didn't work, hey, you never know. It might have worked, but you tried it. It didn't work out. That's okay. Try something else. So never doubt yourself, because you'd be surprised at what gifts and talents that you have that you never knew that you had. So if it's something you always wanted to do it. You may just surprise yourself and be like super duper good at it. So always speak positive over your life, because my mom used to always say, death and life is in the power of the tongue. I never knew what she meant by that, but it's a true statement. If you speak negative all the time, negative things are always going to happen. And if you speak positive, then positive things are going to happen. So, and I had to catch myself sometimes, because sometimes I'll have moments where that self-doubt and negativity come in, and the minute it come in, like, oh, hold on, no, we're going to replace that with a positive thought. We're not going to say anything negative. We're not doing it. We're not going there. So I have to, talk myself into, no, we're not going to speak negative. Like, we're going to speak positive. Even if it doesn't work in my favor, I don't beat myself up, because I'm like, well, it just wasn't meant for me. And then I think of all the scenarios like, well, it probably didn't work out because of X, Y, Z, and I probably wouldn't have been happy. And it's a good thing. And you know what? Maybe something better is going to come along. And 9 times out of 10, something better always come along. Sometimes it be that same day, And I'm like, dang, God, you are fast.
Mm-hmm.
Fast. Like,
that's awesome. And you know what? First of all, thank you, Danielle. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
As far as your mom goes, I'm gonna tell you right now, your mom was speaking straight word. That's out of the Bible. Yeah. So
that's all she did. She slapped the word every day.
Everybody, y'all know that's Proverbs 18 and 21. So make a little bookmark. Go back and read that for yourself to expound. Danielle and her mom were speaking straight truth. That's from the Bible. And just wow, y'all. Just wow. Danielle, thank you so very much. I look forward to having you, on the show in the future, and, maybe a follow-up to see how things are going. Y'all, as usual, if you haven't already seen, just scroll down in the description and you will be able to see ways that you can connect with Danielle. I've got her website. We got her socials. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share, purchase, do all the things, because we want to come through for Danielle. She spent her very valuable time 2 times, but that was my fault. She's very time pouring into us.
And I enjoy it.
I loved it.
I'm on here. So it's like, you can have me on here as many times as you want to. If we got to do it for a 3rd time, I'm here for a 3rd time, and a 4th time, and a 5th time.
Well, thank you, y'all. This has been the latest episode of Crown Level Confidence Podcast. I am your host, Kalia Janae, and we are on a mission together. We are locking virtual arms to inspire women worldwide to lower their stress and raise their levels of confidence. Y'all stay tuned and listen for some special announcements. But other than that, it's a wrap. I love y'all. And more importantly, I'm so grateful that you love me too. Bye, y'all. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Crown Level Confidence Podcast. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will help you on your path to unstoppable confidence. Remember, you have the power within you to achieve greatness and transform your life. Stay connected by subscribing to the podcast and following us on social media. If you're interested in being a featured guest on the show and sharing your journey of confidence and self-belief, visit KaliaJanae.com to connect with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories, and I'm always excited to meet and showcase remarkable individuals, so don't hesitate to reach out. For details on speaking engagements, mindset coaching, or having a workshop in your office, again, head over to my website, KaliaJanae.com. And don't forget to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and inspire others to wear their crowns proudly. All right, y'all, keep shining, keep believing, and keep leveling up. Until next time, wear your crown with pride and confidence. Take care.